Alright, hello everybody. Welcome to War Thunder Wednesday. And today we're actually gonna have a talk. Actually gonna have like an unscripted semi-rant about some things that I have experienced over the last couple of months. Um, if this would ever connect. Anyway, so I'm not gonna be naming names. I'm not gonna be pointing fingers or anything like that. I'm just gonna kind of issue a warning. If any YouTuber or streamer or whomever, if they're a content creator and they're like, hey, join my Discord, we can talk on there, just don't do it. Just don't do it. I've gone on to two different YouTubers' Discords and I've had bad experiences both times. Without getting too into the weeds, the first one had a borderline pedophile in it. It was actually really bad. I did report that server. I'm not going to be naming names of whose server it was. And the second one had a really... It was a stupid disagreement, okay? It was dumb. I said that birthing, like the act of giving birth, is kind of gross. It's disgusting. That it invokes disgust. I am not ashamed of people giving birth. I am not ashamed of, another thing that they said I was, internally ashamed of was sex, and, like, no. And it was, like, the whole, like, armchair psychology thing. This person was a moderator, by the way. Like, the whole armchair psychology thing really kind of ticked me off in a not great way. I'm talking, like, heart palpitations, shaking hands. It was not a good time. Abandoned factory. I do not think that the people who give birth are disgusting. I do not think that people who have sex are disgusting, and I think that's where the miscommunication was. I think the acts in and of themselves are disgusting. I participate in at least one of these acts, right? Technically, I've participated in both. I was a baby. Okay? I was naturally... We're gonna, like, kind of talk about this really quick. Even on, like, medical dramas, I have always disliked the depiction of birth. I am not ashamed of it. I don't think people doing this act is disgusting. I feel like I have to keep reiterating that. My disgust stems from the kind of, like, gory and violent nature of birthing. Alright, we're gonna talk about this one first. And, like, it doesn't stem from, like, childhood trauma or anything. I've just seen what it can do to people. The woman that I was arguing with, she was saying that I was just, like, wrong for having this opinion. I brought up, like, medical statistics, and it's like, hey, look at all these women who had their lives completely ruined, by the way, by giving birth. That they have been disabled because they've given birth. She just didn't want to hear it. Which, like, that's fine. She claimed that she had a home birth. And basically what that is like, you don't get painkillers, you don't get any of that stuff. You just kind of sit there and do the thing. And it was very gross, right? I didn't want to hear that. I didn't want to know the details of her birthing. And so I gave details of mine. When I was born, I had the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck multiple times. I was almost dead by the time they got me out of there. My mom says I kind of popped like a cork, but still, it was not a good birth. My mom's first birth was also incredibly dangerous. Oh no! Oh, it was just... So my mom's first birth, my older sister, she came out in a pool of green. It was really bad. She had some kind of infection. Again, they thought that she was not gonna make it. And again, I don't blame my mom for doing any of this, for having natural birth. But after her first birth, she didn't think she would have any more kids. Right? I was a surprise. I was what they call an accident. That's fine. My younger sister also had the umbilical cord wrapped around her neck. And it's just so frustrating that, this woman doesn't want to believe that other women could have bad experiences with an act so violent. Because if you think about it, it's pretty violent. Ooh! Hey, buddy. It's full of blood and viscera and mucus and shit. Literal shit. And I provided documents of hey, these are the women who... But granted, it was a small case study. But it was out of the NIH, the National Institute of Health. And I think that's out of England. I could be wrong. And they all said that, if they had a second chance, they wouldn't go back through with it. And that's fine, right? Because it's kind of gross. Now for the sex thing, and this one kind of ticks me off more than the other one. The sex thing, it was just implying that I am internally ashamed because I acknowledge the act of sex is kind of gross. You're sticking an organ inside of another organ. No matter no matter how you cut it, that's what's going on. That to me is gross. My mom's a biologist, okay? I'm just a person. And even my mom is yeah, sex is kind of gross. Even my mom is yeah, birthing is kind of gross. It's not... And at risk of canceling myself for saying this. I am active, right? I have a partner. Sometimes we bump uglies. Sometimes we do the nasty. Sometimes we do the hanky-spanky. I can acknowledge that the act of us doing that is kind of gross and still do the thing. I am on the asexual spectrum, which is why her comment really ticked me off. Oh my god, I'm drifting. Tokyo Drift. I don't think that anybody should say that a queer person is repressing shame. I don't think that's constructive. I don't think it's helpful. Damn, that's a good shot! I don't think that it works for trying to get your point across. I am on the asexual spectrum, but instead of being sex repulsed, I am the other one. I kind of I joke around that I whore myself out to take control of my body, and that is from trauma. I don't like talking about it too much, but I will now. Hashtag me too, bitch. I was assaulted when I was a kid. Multiple times. And then I was assaulted again when I was an older kid, when I was 14. Nobody believed me because I was assigned male at birth. Who would want to do that to a boy? Right? That's what everybody was thinking. And I am not ashamed of the act that was done to me. It's not mine to be ashamed of, if that makes sense. I was for a long time. I won't lie, I hated myself. For years and years. And then I found my partner, who understood where I was coming from. Oh, we're gonna take out this. Oh, come on. Oh no. But oh, I got the final blow. Hell yeah. I did pretty well. Anyway, um, being assaulted, and I don't think enough people kind of talk about this aspect of it. A lot of people focus on the victim, or not on the victim, sorry, my brain is push. A lot of people focus on the perpetrator of that awful, awful act. Not a lot of people focus on, like, the feelings of the victim. Even Me Too kind of did this, and I'm not, like, slamming that movement. Okay, like, they wanted punishment for the perpetrators. I get that. Hell, I do too. My feelings as a victim is that no amount of punishment to the perpetrator is going to give me closure. I have to work on that. I have to go to therapy. I have to go talk to people and, like, work through what happened. And it was a long time before I wanted to go out and date again. And when I found, we're gonna go to air battles, and when I found my current partner, they were the first person I was truly vulnerable with in a very long time. I was afraid, I was uncomfortable, I didn't know quite what to feel. You probably hear my cat growling in the back. They're about to start fighting. I'm sorry if you hear that. Nothing I can really do. And so, like, when I heard this woman on this Discord channel say, I think you're just internally ashamed, that's where my brain went. All I heard was, you were victimized, therefore your opinion shouldn't matter in matters like this. And that grossed me out on a fundamental level. Like I said, this person was a moderator. They didn't want to back down. I get that. But when other people started, like, supporting this viewpoint, I was like, okay, I should just not be in, like, quote-unquote community discords anymore. They're not... My whole point is, these are not healthy places. These are places where people in parasocial relationships with their favorite content creators go in order to, like, defend their favorite creator or whatever. To risk sounding a little bit like Ethan Klein, they are essentially snark Reddits. You go there not to have healthy debate or discussion, but to meme on and make fun of other people. And, like, in case anybody asks in the comments, which, like, looking on my channel, nobody comments, and that's fine. I am not going to name names. I am not going to tell you who said what happened. That's just not what happened in my channel. Oh, I missed that bomb for sure. I hit? That's wild. Oh my god! Okay. No! I thought my Phoenix flying would save me. It did not. So yeah, my warning to everybody. Even if I make a Discord for my YouTube channel, don't worry, I'm never going to do that. But if I ever do not join it. Joining those things it's a breeding ground for toxicity. If you want community, go into your world, talk to your neighbors, invite them over to a barbecue or whatever. I don't know what normal people do. But that's why I was joining these Discord. It was to look for community. Because, I'm not gonna lie, our world right now is fucking horrifying if you don't have anybody. Oh no, ME410, that's mean. I'm dodging. I'm dodging. dodging. I'm like in the Matrix. But yeah, just be careful who you're vulnerable with, who you share your opinions with. Make sure they're good people. Because I've been around enough bad people to, I've been around enough people to recognize toxicity when it happens, and that's why I don't really have a lot of offline friends, like IRL people that I can talk to. And that's nobody's fault but mine. I want to be absolutely clear. Like, I don't want my isolation and loneliness to turn into other people's isolation and loneliness, if that makes sense. Which is why I'm never making a Discord. Because, like, oh god. Because, like, even though... Yeah, I'm dead. That's fine. Even though those places can be, like, very community-driven and very helpful for those who have shared interests, I've never been in one that has been anything other than a shitfest. Like, they're not healthy places. And I am not doing well in this game, and that's okay. We're gonna finish this mission off and then be done. And yeah, like I've only found one Discord that wasn't full of weirdos, and that's even including like local community Discord, like for my area. Not doxing myself, but there was a Discord that I was a part of for the longest time. I enjoyed the things we did in there. We would play Magic the Gathering on Fridays, and like bring cards to trade or snacks or whatever. Right? It was really good. And then a couple of years, maybe a couple of months before we as in the United States, started putting down tariffs on everything. Somebody was trying to sell a card in there for like $600. And I understand that like shiny cardboard can be very expensive. You know, as somebody who does partake in the shiny cardboard, yeah, that stuff can be very pricey. Just to like kind of flex my cred, I bought the Secret Lair deck. If you know what Secret Lair is, then you're going to be kind of like poggers at this. But I bought the Secret Lair deck. Angels, they're people with wings, but they're just like us, or whatever, like something like that. And I modified it to be a Boros deck. Boros is my favorite color combination, red-white. I love that. And when I saw people in there trying, like in that Discord, trying to sell one of the cards that I have in my deck for multiple hundreds of dollars, I was kind of disgusted. Because, you know, if somebody wanted that card that badly, I would have just given it to them. And maybe that's what communism taught me, but I don't like the commodification of community, which I think is what Discord is. It's just another iteration of social media. I understand that now, but it's also like, yeah, that was my fault. But it's also frustrating when like everybody in your town or your city is kind of a bad person. And it doesn't matter what you do as a person, you're just always gonna be... like, if you're a good person in a community like that, you are gonna be stuck hanging out with the worst people imaginable. When I was in high school, I did not have good friends. I did not have people that I could turn to if I was hurt. Instead, I had people that manipulated me at every step. I had people that wanted me in pain for their amusement. Yeah, I was that kid. And it was heart-wrenching. It was disgusting and debilitating, and it made me physically ill. Let's see how we did. Um, so, moral of the story, don't join discords run by YouTubers or by like people that you don't know personally. And even if you do know them personally, keep an eye out. If you see people being weird or toxic, and like I understand that my opinion on the magic cards is in the minority, but like look at the world we're living in. We need less people selling stuff and more people helping one another. I think that, and also just like don't be an armchair psychologist. Be a normal person in my comments and all of that. Just be normal. I'm begging you. Anyway, that was that. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you come back for more. I hope that we can continue doing this, all of that stuff. Yeah. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Deuces.